you're not going to hear me lead with vitriol for EBRO, Rosenberg, or Hot 97. By the way, this clip is 8 months old, right? And there's a couple reasons why I won't lead with that. Number one, even hearing what EBRO said, and I hope you heard that part before I cut it off. EBRO himself said, Ak is trying to participate, or he's talking about things that let me play the clip. And by the way, again, I know this is old, but it's interesting how sometimes in hindsight things could actually be laughable. Let's play what he said again, all right?
And MONETIZES, he's not from or a part of.
Okay, we'll stop there. So he says, hey, he doesn't like the fact that I promote or monetize off things that I'm not from or a part of. It's very interesting to say that, right? Because if we kind of go down to the very definition of what, people like him are talking about, he's saying, hey, Ak, you cover shit that has to do with the streets. But okay, that's cool. And I would be really on the side of EBRO if everything he said made sense. If there weren't very glaring holes in all his arguments. And again, it's not an attack at him, but really for anyone who has this opinion, right? Ak, you talking about shit you don't got nothing to do with. Well, first of all, I could use the CNN example. Well, does anyone say to CNN, y'all owner ain't black? Why are you covering Black Lives Matter? Nobody says that. Actually, people say, hey, you should cover it. You know what I mean? Like, bring this to light, right? So, number one, the job of the media is never to only cover what you have experienced. That's number one, right? And by the way, I've never been dishonest by saying, oh yeah, I've lived in Chirac, so I'm covering Chirac. Never did that at all, okay? I'm giving you my opinion, just like everybody has an opinion about anything. However, when people don't like you, and you guys will get to realize, they'll make an angle that they'll attack you with, and they won't use that same angle for everybody else, right? I'll use it with EBRO. And again, by the way, this is not going at EBRO, right? Because again, this is very old. And again, I've seen EBRO and even Rosenberg, and somebody's going to give me the clip of their tune about me has since kind of like changed a bit. But I do want to address that point, right? Akademiks is talking about things that he's not about or he's not a part of, blah, blah, blah. So if I go by that point, the only people who should be covering street music are street niggas, right? Hot New Hip Hop, they're not street. The Source, they're not street. TMZ, they're not street. There's a bunch of people who cover on a news level what's going on in hip hop in the streets that aren't street. Why is it that these people particularly pick on Akademiks? You know why? Again, I keep telling you the point. When someone doesn't like you, they're going to use everything and just lump it up together because they don't like you. And remember, like, there was a space where I was trying to hope everybody could, come to an agreement with me. But then you got to get to realize in this life, not everybody's going to like you. And they might dislike you for whatever reason. And even if you could fix the reason why they dislike you or why they tell you they dislike you, if they really dislike you and you fix that reason, they'll dislike you for some other shit. Case in point, and I'll bring this up. So, and it's just about the hypocrisy. Again, I'm not going at EBRO. I'm just only going at the points that he made back then. But because it's now a new topic that people are talking about, and by the way, keep in mind, EBRO, did not want to have a conversation with me, just like many of the older people or people in the culture who constantly now try to aim their Ak is ruining whatever. They don't want to have a conversation. Now, EBRO said that, hey, listen, Ak is mentioning or he's profiting or monetizing off of shit he's not a part of, and I would imagine he's talking about street shit, right? Now, I would say EBRO was a program director at Hot 97 for at least a decade, right? A lot of people blame him for the deterioration of New York hip-hop. I wouldn't. I don't really care. That's not really my fight to fight. You know what I mean? But there was a time that he wielded a lot of power where the internet and the radio atmosphere was like, I could pick who goes and who doesn't, right? And a lot of the music that he pushed through were street records. Now, I don't know if EBRO identifies himself as a street nigga, but if I'm going by his own logic, EBRO himself would be also promoting shit that he's not a part of, unless he's a street nigga. Okay? Hot 97 played Hey, I know we like the Locks and Dipset, but they were making street music. Hot 97 played that. We like 50 Cent? Of course I like 50 Cent. You like 50 Cent. Everybody loves 50 Cent. Hot 97 played it. Street music. If we only single out Akademiks for saying, hey, Ak, you're focusing on the streets, you're a fucking hypocrite. Because the majority of hip-hop focuses on the streets. You get me? Or focuses on music that's centered around the streets. That's just what it is. You get me? Again, I'm giving y'all the example of when people don't like you, they will make up anything against you. And that's why, remember I told you I came to a place in my life, especially with Meek. I would never sit down with Meek. He's someone that is beyond reproach. He's beyond having a conversation with, because he's not here to understand and listen and try to learn or even try to teach. He's someone that doesn't like you. And the only way you could actually appease him is by not existing. So unless you kill yourself, you'll never appease that guy. Same with EBRO. EBRO, he came from he's an oligarch of older media niggas that watch the nigga like Akademiks come in and have some influence. And the only way to appease someone like him is not by playing even if I was like, oh no, I like music for New York fitteds and Timberland boots and we gonna get the core of hip hop back, he wouldn't fuck with me. I'm a direct threat of his whole existence. He's gonna hate me no matter what. The only way I could remedy and make him feel good is by not existing. So if I say, you know what, I quit, he would feel good. If I said I would change, he would still dislike me. Just remember that, right? I'm on a flow right here. So it's 146. Thank you, Grand Wizard. But before I even get to where Rosenberg was, because EBRO didn't really have the biggest problem. EBRO was actually setting up the point for Rosenberg. And it was a time where Rosenberg was getting on live, spitting on his phone, like, oh, I want to. And truth be told, at that point, I felt it was clout chasing. And I remember disrespectfully, he called me out as a man. He said, yo, whatever, like he wanted to fight or something. And I said, EBRO, no, not EBRO. I said, Rosenberg, I'm going to book a gym. No cameras, no nothing. I'll send you an address. Just DM me. And we could show up there and me and you could get it in. And I gave him a timeline for him to respond because I didn't want him thinking that we're training, nothing like that. And he DM'd me and he gave me a whole long story. He was like, yo, my problem with you is this. I don't want to fight. And I'm like, okay, so that was clout chasing then, because I never mentioned violence or fighting with no one. They usually mention it first, right? And except I'll admit, I did say if Meek really had that much of a problem, I would box him. Like, whatever, we can box, right? But still, I said that to him. He gave me a whole bunch of like, oh, this and third, and I just realized it was mostly clout chasing. I kind of let it go back then. But I'll play like a minute or two of this, and then we'll get to Rosenberg's newer thoughts about me. And then again, I'm not attacking either one of these individuals. Like, EBRO, I don't have a problem with you. I've never had a problem with you, EBRO. Truth be told, I've never had a problem with you, Rosenberg. Truth be told. I've had a problem that you guys felt threatened by my ascension into hip-hop. It's like you guys felt that you owned hip-hop and that what you decided, and because you could say who's this and who's that, and you'll hear it like the pompousness, just the like thinking you own this shit. You know why I have a problem with Akademiks? He's supporting the people who make bad music. Who are you to say? You're pushing 50. You're going to tell the kids what is bad music? A lot of the times, sometimes I've not even liked an artist, but I could fuck with it. And a lot of times it might be more of the 14-year-old's vibe. How am I going to, like, even if, like, for example, I didn't like the race, but can I just say, fuck Tay-K? I mean, me and Tay-K, we had some issues afterward, but still, could I just block him out of hip-hop because I didn't particularly like him? Or like whatever song that he had? I think EBRO has felt that way, and when he realized that he couldn't, he felt offended. I'll play a little bit more of it, and then I'll get to the current opinion on it.
Which is, he has a fetish, like many young people do, and suburbanites do, with gangsterisms and gangs and, you know, all of that. The whole pill pop culture and all of that other nonsense. And the fact that a lot of the artists that he enjoys are just not good rappers. They're just not good at rapping, the things that he's promoted. I think some of the music is trash. But that's just a musical opinion.
So this was back then. By the way, again, I want to also point out, I'm not going at Ebro, but I'm addressing these points, which I never seen this video in its entirety back then. I only saw like what Rosenberg said in short spurts. Again, I only am playing this just because, you know, respectfully, and I'm really not even gonna violate Ebro or Rosenberg, because I think this video or this audio of them talking about me ages horribly. Like, they sound like two people who feel like they should be able to tell people what's hot. Yo, I hate Akademiks because he likes people who can't rap. And it's like, really? That's it? So because your taste in rap music isn't my taste, that's a problem. You kind of get to realize why hip-hop sometimes is stagnant. You get to realize why, like, people like NBA Youngboy, who might be, you know, one of the favorites of the newer generation, when it comes to the older generation. By the way, I also have to point out, you know who would be eligible to be on a Grammy committee? Ebro. You know who would be eligible to be voting for all these award shows? Ebro. I'm not. Ebro has been on radio for, like, these are requirements for all these committees when y'all care about Grammys, this and third. You have to be on certain platforms for a certain amount of time, and you have to have a certain amount of time in the game. And this is industry stuff. Ebro usually checks a lot of those boxes. Ebro is probably eligible to vote for a Grammy, right? Or at least vote for the nominees. I'm not. So when y'all talk about Youngboy never win shit, when you hear this guy talks about the artists who I enjoy, and then you wonder why the artists that y'all might enjoy never get fucking whatever, you're seeing it here. That's why I'm saying that I don't have to necessarily say anything bad about Ebro, because I think this ages horribly. Again, these comments are like 8-9 months old, but I listened to them. I was like, wow, these were horrible takes.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's basically, Ebro, what we said. And then yesterday, his response to us, rather than saying like, nah, y'all don't know what I'm about, etc., it was really, look how much money I've made. I own this, I own that, I have this, I have that. And I just went on to say, that doesn't prove anything except my point. Yeah, I think he did make a lot of money. My question is, how did you make your money? What do people who matter really think about what you do?
Well, I think you know, and that's part of why.
I'm gonna get to what Ebro said, but I think money only came into the equation when I was speaking about Rosenberg's. If their criticism of mine felt laden with jealousy that they didn't have their own platform. And what I mean by their own platform, because I always hear people say, yo, Ike, you don't own Twitch, you don't own this. I say this respectfully, right? The content that I make, I own. Even on my Twitch, I own that content. I could license it to whoever, and they could do whatever they want with it. When Ebro and Rosenberg speak on the Hot 97 platform, is owned by MS Communication. This is respectfully. When Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee speak on Power 105, is owned by iHeart Media. That is a fact. Now, if Charlemagne speaks on Brilliant Idiots, his voice is now owned by Loudspeaker, which he's an owner of. Or if he speaks somewhere. That's the point. So what I mean by platforms, I don't own Google, Twitter, Instagram, obviously. But what some of you guys really were offended by, and I know you guys are offended by, when I'm saying that I own the shit that I'm doing, is that I'm doing independent media. Like, I didn't need MS Communication to say, hey, here's a platform to talk. I built it, and it might just be having a bunch of followers, but I own it in terms of I own all of my content. if I upload this, and by the way, I'm pretty sure the plug pages will upload pieces of this to YouTube, there's going to be a claim on the video. The claim is going to say, Akademiks, while discussing this, use the piece of Emis communication property. Not EBRO's property, not Rosenberg's property, not the DJ's property, not the program director's property, not the person in HR, not the person who parks the car, not the person downstairs, not anybody else in that building. Emis Communications. EBRO could hit me up himself and say, Ak, you know what? You could use the clip. And I say, oh, word? I could? Cool. I'm going to submit a counter to YouTube. The guy who's talking say I could use the clip. But the clip belongs to the company. The company could say, we didn't say that. Declined. That's what I meant about owning your platform. When I speak, for example, when I was on Cardi's album, they didn't have to hit Complex to clear my voice. They didn't have to hit Twitch. Interscope Records sent me a document, and I signed it myself because I owned the clip that they were going to use. It may seem simple to y'all, but believe me, means a lot. And for the people who, haven't transitioned yet, there's a lot of people transitioning. By the way, EBRO is transitioning. EBRO has a radio show on Beats One. Now, granted, he's the global director there of hip hop. I don't know if he necessarily owns his own content there. But when I do say, and this is for all the people who try to do the semantics with me, I'm giving you the explanation. When I do say I own my own platform, all the content that Akademiks does, okay, and obviously the content I did with Complex owns that. And respectfully, they deserve to, right? They paid me for the shit, and I knew that they were going to own it. But when I'm on my platform, whether on my YouTube, whether on my podcast, right? I will tell you this, though. Because it's exclusive, Spotify has the rights to monetize it and do whatever they want. I'll be honest with that. But that's a podcast. But when it comes to my YouTube, my Twitch, and other platforms that I could express myself on, numerous of them, I own it. And that's the only point I was trying to make.